Welcome to Chad's Adventures, episode number 7. So I'm on vacation in Missouri. I woke up this morning to 29-degree temperatures, but it's New Year's Eve and I'm feeling good. I'm looking for something to do, so I'm about to put my jacket on and go on an adventure. So if you'd like to come along, let's go. Standing about 2 miles outside of the town of Osceola, Missouri, by a roadside park that overlooks on these cliffs. You see behind me the Sac and the Osage rivers coming together. So this is where the history of European settlers began in this area of St. Clair County, Missouri. The view that you are about to see shows the mouth of the Sac River as it empties into the Osage River. These are the only two rivers in Missouri which flow in a northerly direction. Local tradition says that in 1814, the first settlers in St. Clair County, Jacob and Henry Kuntz, made camp at a point between the rivers. The fur traders were awakened one night by the shouts of Indian dancers around a bonfire on the area where we now stand. The brothers hurriedly decamped and made their way downstream, about to the present-day site of Osceola, a town named later to honor the chief of the Seminoles. Missouri is a beautiful state, and this overlook right here is a perfect display of exactly what I'm talking about. The cliffs behind me, the river, actually two rivers coming together, the flatland. I'm sitting on the edge of this highland on a cliff. As you can see, a steep drop behind me. But it is a breathtaking view here where you can really appreciate God's creation. During the time of the Civil War, Missouri was a border state, which means it didn't officially side with either the North or the South. Yet there were a lot of passions here, one way or the other. And right in this spot that we're looking at, Missouri had their own army. It was called the Missouri State Guard. And in 1861, from October to December, on this spot behind me where the two rivers come together, at that point, there was a military recruitment camp. And at that recruitment camp, there were 12,000 men that came and joined the army right here, joined the military. And of those 12,000, 8,000 of them went on to fight in the Confederacy. 2,000 of them stayed in the Missouri State Guard and were active here in the state. And 2,000 of them went on to go home and protect their families, fighting in guerrilla warfare, which was a bitter way to fight. General Sterling Price took his 8,000 men and divided them up into 2 battalions. And those 2 battalions went on to fight for the cause of the South in the Civil War. They saw the first action in the March of 1862 at the Battle of Pea Ridge, Arkansas. And after that battle, about a month later, they crossed the river, went into Mississippi, and they fought several battles there. They fought the Battle of Corinth, the Battle of Port Gibson, Champion Hill, Big Black River. But in July of 1863, they were captured at the Battle of Vicksburg. Well, a few months later in September, they were part of a soldier exchange. They gained their freedom to join the war again. At that time, they were consolidated into one single battalion. And so after that, they went on to fight in the Atlanta campaign, and then they were at Franklin, Tennessee, where the largest, bloodiest charge of the war took place. When the war ended in 1865, out of 8,000 men, only about 300 of them survived. That's a lot of casualties. And these Missourians, they fought more than a dozen battles in 7 different states. They spent 37 of their 40 months of service outside of the state of Missouri. And historians recorded the things about them, saying that no men served more valiantly, endured more hardship, or sacrificed more for their cause. In discipline and in combat effectiveness, they had few peers and no superiors. They were the South's finest. I'm standing in the middle of Osceola, Missouri, and behind me is the courthouse, which is the center of the town square. And the town square is surrounded by these old storefront buildings. It's a beautiful little town. And so in 1808, a treaty was signed with the Osage Indians, allowing non-Indians to begin to settle here. So by the mid-1830s, a lot of people had settled this area. Mostly they were Southerners. During the time of the Civil War, this area along the Kansas and Missouri border was a hotbed of guerrilla warfare activity. It was a terrible time in the history of the state. So in 1861, a man by the name of Jim Lane brought a group of men that he was leading and came to this town unexpectedly, snuck up on it while it was defenseless. The men had left town to join the cause of whatever they were supporting, and the only people that were left here were women and children and some older men. And so they arrived here and sacked the town. They burned the courthouse down. They actually burned the entire town to the ground. They stole everything of value. They raped some of the women, and a few of the men that were left here in the town, right here on these grounds of the courthouse, they hung them from right here. A lot of atrocities happened right here in this town. It was burned down during that time. There were about 2,500 people living here. Very prosperous area during that time frame. And so at the end of the Civil War, there were only about 183 people left here. This town has never fully recovered from being sacked by Jim Lane and his Jayhawkers. This building over my shoulder is the old commercial hotel. The original one was burned down by Jim Lane's men. This was rebuilt in 1867. It's such a cool building and very historical. Let's go take a look. The sacking of Osceola was the inspiration of the Clint Eastwood movie The Outlaw Josie Wales. And there has been a lot of hard feelings between the people of Missouri and Kansas ever since the Civil War. The Kansas Jayhawkers were the name of the group that committed the atrocities in Osceola. And the Jayhawk is the mascot at the University of Kansas. So I'm inside the old commercial hotel. I'm going to show you a couple things in here. As you enter through the front door and to the left is the reception room, where guests could relax and meet with others. On top of this desk is a portrait of Jesse James. There could have been entertainment at times in this room, such as playing the piano or singing. And look at the tin ceiling. And across the hall where that closed door is, was a room called the Barrel Room, where merchants would sell goods from ships docking in the river. I confirmed that this is the original handrail still in the hotel that surely would have been touched by Jesse James as he went upstairs to his customary room on the front corner of the hotel. The James room was chosen by Jesse because of his strategic location in the building. This window had a large tree outside of it, and Jesse would keep his horse tied at the bottom of the tree, and he could climb down if he had to escape. The front window gave him a view of the street and the town square, so he could watch for danger. This picture on the wall is of the original courthouse that was destroyed by the Kansas Jayhawkers. The exterior stair rails were the only thing salvaged. One is located in a church down the street and the other in a private residence. Okay, I'm with a local historian, Kendall, and she's going to show us some of the famous people that have stayed in this hotel.
So that's President Harry Truman. And this is Sally Rand. She was a dancer. And this is Tom Mix.
Who is Tom Mix?
He was a famous actor.
Okay.
And this is Jesse James.
Jesse James. I met the owner of the commercial hotel named Robert Heckenlively, and he is right here behind me. He didn't want to be on video, so I only show you a glimpse of him. But he's restoring this hotel, and slowly he's going to start opening up rooms that people can stay in again. And there's been several famous people that stay here over the years, and from Jesse James and his brother to movie stars and to a burlesque dancer named Sarah Rand. So he did one of the rooms dedicated to her. It's called the Sarah Rand Room. I'm going to show that to you now. Sally Rand was an American burlesque dancer and actress. She was most known for her ostrich feather dance and balloon bubble dance. Sally was a native of Missouri. She was born in 1904 and died in 1979. One really cool place to visit in Osceola is this store, Osceola Cheese. They have over 250 varieties of cheese here, jams, jellies, gifts, all kinds of things. Look at all the cheese, over 250 different kinds. This place is a mouse heaven. One of the awesome things about this store is that you can actually sample the cheese before you buy it. So here's a sample pack of cheddar jack with pepperoni. I'm going to give this a little sample, a little taste. That's some good stuff. Might buy some of this. However, this store does not sell just cheese. They offer honey, butter, syrup. They also have a treasure trove of preserves. I don't know what these are used for, but they're called sex olives. And they have a pretty extensive gift shop, offering souvenir t-shirts, local wine, Missouri souvenirs, and many other gift offerings. Driving in this area of Missouri will take you across these signs to share the road with horse-drawn buggies, which are driven by the local Amish population. The first Amish family arrived in the area almost 20 years ago, and since then many more have made their home here. There are now well over 50 Amish families living within a 10-mile radius of Osceola. So I'm back at the base camp of where I'm staying in Missouri for my vacation, and I'm going to sign off of Chad's adventures for this episode, but it's really not the end of my adventure for today because it's New Year's Eve. The sun started to go down, and I'm heading to a gathering of people to say goodbye to 2019 and hello to 2020. But I don't want to bore you with all that, so I'm going to sign off for now and see you next time on my next adventure. The Mission Basilica San